Well, it's a chilly Thursday out there, but welcome to Frankie Flowers on City Online. We're going to keep things hot today, also inspire you for next spring. Perhaps you have some questions about your own yard. Maybe you have some issues in terms of creating that perfect backyard space, and you need a little bit of tips and tricks on some design. We want you to give us a call at 416-870-7716 or toll free 1-800-295-5463. For today, we have a special guest, and that is Haig Seferian. Haig, you are many things when it comes to landscape design. You're
I've been called many things too.
Yeah, you're award-winning. You've won several awards. You've done some television work, and you have your own design firm.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we do everything from landscape design, and we follow it right through into project management for clients as well. So the A to Z of landscape.
And it doesn't matter if it's on the ground or in the sky.
You know what? More and more often we're doing stuff up on top of roofs now. There's a lot of roofs that need covering in Toronto.
And green roofs is really good for the environment as well.
Very much so. I mean, think of all that area that's just sitting there heating up that can be used in a better way. A lot of incentives to go forward on that now too.
Yeah, and things are evolving. One thing we were a part of last week, we had a lot of fun last week. You were the host of Landscape Ontario's Award of Excellence.
Yes.
I was the Joan Rivers of the awards ceremony. I was working the red carpet. These awards are not only a highlight for the industry, but really showcase some of the great things we do.
You know what? Landscape Ontario puts it on, and that's always a great resource for the general public to go to, landscapeontario.com, and they'll answer questions and help direct members that are in your area. And every year they put on this Awards of Excellence, and it is top-notch, the work that gets sent in. And it's the best of the best in Ontario, basically.
And maybe in the world as well. When you look at some of these projects, we have an example of one of those right now. In this one here, our first award, it won the environmental design, this was by the environmental design landscape contractors. This is the before shot right there. They won Landscape Ontario's Casey Van Maris Award for execution of unique and innovation design in landscaping. This is a top shot taking a look down, and you can see they created basically an outdoor room.
It's amazing, Frankie. I mean, what you're seeing in the background there is the roof of a garage.
Really?
This shot is from the second floor of the house looking down, and the backyard that we saw in the previous shot, you know, they put some interesting paving down, some seating, and then there's the front of the garage there.
So they really refaced the garage?
Yep, they put a new roof on it to house that weight and to deal with the water and the drainage, etc. And they did some lighting up there as well. And now you've taken what was this black asphalt roof and you've created a wonderful garden out of it, a very peaceful, meditative garden.
And they've also created a lot of earth elements there. I see steel, I see stone, I see wood, and I see live plants.
Isn't that beautiful, the mixture of the materials? You know, it doesn't have to be just grass and plants. You've got a beautiful interplay there of wood and stainless and stone. And look, there is no grass. Get rid of the lawnmower.
Low maintenance, and this is going to add value to the home as well.
Without question, without question. General rule of thumb, any landscaping that's, you know, somewhat customized, you're going to get 60–70% of that back in resale, without question. That only increases in time. And when you get into things like pools and spas and waterfalls, you know, you really need the right client that's looking for that type of thing, but it certainly adds curb appeal to the property.
Yeah, let's take a look at another award. This is by Inside and Out Garden Design. We have a shot.
You know, you've got this little walkout deck that acts as like an apron, if you will, into the backyard. And look at the pathway going into the back, Frankie. Like, that is long, sweeping lines. You know, you create that interest. You almost have to stretch your neck around the corner to see what's hiding behind there. You're creating interest, intrigue in a very small space.
And you're also taking the line of sight away from that unsightly garage that was tucked way in the back as well.
Absolutely. You'd never know it was there looking at this shot.
It's wonderful. When you're looking for a landscape professional, is there some things that you should ask them?
There are lots of questions you should be asking. You know, today with the ease of internet, you know, certainly go to their website, look at pictures, call up references. You know, does not hurt to even call up one or two different people. You have to appreciate that the work that you're doing, the design that we do together, it's not a 1 or 2 day thing. Sometimes it's not a 1 or 2 week thing. It can go on for a couple of months. So you have to establish a relationship with this person. When you meet someone, you know pretty much right off if you're going to like them or not. And regardless of their references, you have to like the person and get along with them in order to work with them.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to turn to the phones right now and see if we have a call right now. I know Dave's waiting on the phone. And Dave, what's your question today?
Hello?
Hi, Dave. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for taking my call. My wife and I love watching your show.
Thanks for calling us as well.
I don't have a landscape question. I have a garden soil question, if I may.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a vegetable garden that's primarily a triple mix soil. Does very well with my tomatoes, onions, garlic, that kind of thing, but not so great with potatoes and green peppers. I've been told the triple mix is a little acidic. Is that correct?
Yeah, indeed. Triple mix can be very acidic, which means that it's putting a lot of green on. But also potatoes and peppers usually like to be more so in a sandy type loam. So if you put a little bit more of a sand mixture in the areas where you're going to be putting those in, what's going to happen is improved drainage as well, so they're not setting wet. You'll notice the peppers like high heat. They take a long time to mature, but also they don't like their feet wet. Potatoes as well. And remember to hill your potatoes up when you're planting them. That creates drainage away from basically those rhizomes, the tubers, or I'm trying to remember, potatoes, a tuber, yes indeed. And with that as well, by putting them on hill and hilling them up, you get better sun exposure to the bottom, which will heat the potatoes up as well. So just adding a little bit of sand into your soil mix will do a wonder for you. Does that help you out, Dave?
Yeah, I was thinking about would adding any wood ash help?
Wood ash, not necessarily. Wood ash will help with neutralizing acidity, but really what you need to do is to bring that pH down. Horticultural lime will help you with that, and also improve drainage as well. Okay? We're just going to take a quick break. Before we go to break, we always ask some trivia.
Okay, go ahead.
A little bit of garden trivia. So here we go. 5,000 years ago, this popular structure found its start in Egyptian gardens. Today, it can be referred to as a summer house. What the heck could this be? The answer to that question coming up after the break. Plus, we'll have some more award-winning gardens. Well, before the break, we asked you this pressing question. 5,000 years ago, this popular structure found its start in Egyptian gardens. Today, it can be referred to as a summer house. What can it be? Hey, it's the popular garden gazebo. And gazebos have really evolved as well. Summer houses.
A summer house really is the giveaway. They've gone from being like a little shelter or a refuge area to being a full-on, like, summer house. We've done a couple where, I mean, a family of 4 could live in there.
And I've seen them as well that are hooked up with TVs, full kitchens.
Full kitchen, TV, lounging area, fans, audio system. Yeah, it's kind of like the home away from home, you know, whether it's the kids going out there and, you know, you don't have to deal with them in the house, or the opposite. I'd love to go out there so I don't have to deal with the kids.
Exactly, and hardscapes play a huge role in a landscape.
Very much so. You have to pick the proper materials to suit the area that you're doing the work in. Yeah, what you don't want is something to look like it's been dropped from the heavens down onto the earth. You know, it has to look like it's always been there, it belongs there. That's pretty much the best compliment you can be given.
Yeah, for sure. And for people out there that don't know what a hardscape is, what are we talking in terms of landscape terms?
Oh, in all different types of stones, woods, pavings, metals, iron, you know, basically anything that is not sod or grass.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take a look at another great garden that won an award. This won an award for residential landscaping, $100,000 to $250,000. This was done by Dusty Miller Landscape. There's the before picture, just another plain old residential backyard. You can really see the use of hardscapes here.
Look, you've got some wonderful ornamental ironwork there. Yeah, obviously there's a grade change, hence putting the stairs in, but even look at the walls that you have there. The combination of hedging and plant material to really soften up that edge. You really wouldn't know that there is a staircase that goes down there. You know, you'd have to pretty much fall into it. You've got this wonderful foreground with the color and play. Just quickly on color, Frank, look how simple that is. How many colors do you see there?
2. Really,
that's it.
Different variations of green and some pink.
You certainly get more impact with fewer colors used. Just use them in larger swaths.
And I see they also changed it. Before it was just a flat yard.
Create some elevation in there. Wonderful way just to create different topography, different landings, different areas, rather than just basically opening up the space to the person in one shot.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do. You're pretty much carving the land when you're landscaping.
Anything is possible. Unfortunately, it comes down to how much are you ready to spend?
Yeah, we're going to take another quick look at another award. This was residential construction, over $250,000. That's the type of investment. And this is by Jurgen Partridge?
Yes, Jurgen Partridge.
And this is a really good example of hardscapes, and in terms of something that creates winter interest as well.
Look at the detail work on the carpentry there. Like, that is not your average, you know, off the line, off the shelf unit. This is custom made, which is why it's up in that dollar category that you mentioned as well. But look at the focal point. I mean, this arbor now creates a focal point down at the end. It's just drawing you. There's like a rope down at the end pulling you through this just to come down and see what's waiting for you there.
And it's going to be all season interest as well.
Absolutely. Depending on the types of plants that are used there, I see a lot of evergreens and broadleaf evergreens. That means this time of year, even if there isn't any snow on the ground, you've got some color, and look at the way it's wrapping around the posts. It will eventually climb up top to create a tunnel-like effect to the end.
Absolutely beautiful. We're going to take a call right now from Doris. Doris has been patiently waiting. Doris, what's your call today?
It's about plivia.
Yes?
I bought 4 bulbs at a craft show last October. I had to repot them because they've got garden soil around them. I put half cactus sandy soil and half potting soil. Now, do they like sun or shade?
They're going to be doing better during the winter months in highlight areas, because even though we have sun right now, in terms of the intensity of the sun and the duration, the length of sun is not that intense, so to speak, and not that long. So by putting it in a southern or western facing window during the months from October up until about March, fantastic. Thereafter, you can get away with a little bit more partial light, because you will find that if it's an intense southern exposures in the heat of summer, you'll get a lot of what's called sun scald, or also known as a sunburn, right on the leaves.
Okay. And what kind of fertilizer?
Fertilization, what you're going to want to do is make sure that the first number is not too high. In terms of fertilization during the winter months, you can cut back on that. It won't be actively growing. But as soon as we start kicking into late February and March, you're going to want to look for something that is a well-balanced fertilizer but has a higher middle number. And that's going to help make sure that you do get some bloom production out of this as well. Okay? Okay, great. So what we're going to do right now, I think, is we got 30 seconds to a break. We're going to touch on an exceptional garden coming up, and just to promote that one, that's by D.A. Gracie. This won the Big Award.
And it's just a substantial garden. If you can think of going down south, I mean way south, to a resort somewhere, what amenities would you expect? That's what you're going to find here.
Yeah, and to be able to install this garden, you have to do your Lotto 649 happy dance. So we're going to show you that one in a couple of seconds, but first we have another trivia question for you, and this one goes like this. Let's see if I can get the name of this place right. Kerhonksten. I don't know if that's right, but if you live there, I'm sorry. New York is home to the largest pumpkin grown, the oldest rose, or the biggest garden gnome? I wonder. We'll have the answer to that coming up after the break. So we asked you the question, Kerhonksten, I hope that's right. New York is home to the largest pumpkin, the oldest rose, or is it the biggest garden gnome? Could there be? Yeah, if you answered C, you always answered C back in high school, by the way. It's home to the world's largest garden gnome. How big does it measure? 13 feet, 6 inches tall, and it's at Kelder's Farm. Why would you do something like that? Well, why not? Why not? That's the whole thing. We were just talking in the break as well. Our director, Barb, has recently installed a great garden as well with some hardscapes, and now she's asking the question about salt, using salt on natural stone, the effects, the harms, and what should she do?
Yeah, when you're picking salt, really read the label. Look for environmentally friendly ones. There's different colors out now. There's a blue one out now that's really quite good. The old type of rock salt that was used by the cities and sold in bags, I mean, this stuff, you got to be careful, because when it was put down, it actually pits the surface of hard surfaces. Look at sidewalks around town. You'll see a lot of pitting on it. A lot of that's from salt damage.
That variety was called Alaskan. The nice thing as well with the blue is you know how far you've spread it.
True enough.
And that really helps out. Before the break as well, we promoted a great garden. This won the Dunnington Grub Award, and that's kind of like the creme de la creme awards at Landscape Ontario.
It is. We have a whole series of awards that we give out, and then the final one is the Dunnington Grub, which is, okay, the most spectacular piece. What is it?
Yeah, and this has been done by D.A. Gracie's an associate. This one here, we have several pictures, and this is just a kind of a little bit of a look at the pool they installed.
Okay, now have a look at the foreground in the shot, Frank. This is what's called a beach walk-in. Okay, like just as the name suggests, you walk down into the pool. So, you know, even if you want to just sit down, get your rear wet or get your legs wet, you can certainly do that. And they've used flagstone here, but you can certainly use other materials, a square-cut flagstone, or even like a stucco finish to give more of a sand feel.
Great for young children as well.
Very much so. And here's an overall shot tying in the
Wow.
pool and the bar and the sitting area. And I think there might be one more. The previous shot, you really see how that bar, see on the left side there how that bar looks sunken.
Yes.
Completely intentional, because on the opposite side in the water, it's the swim-up bar. You had stone stools that, and there it is. Look at that. Okay, the stone stools you can swim right up to. You got the bar, and then on the right-hand side, that's why that area was sunken. So when you come over and the owner is there serving you, you're sitting eye to eye level with him. So that's actually, that bar is a retaining wall. You can see in the background the steps coming down into the pool. This is something that is getting very, very popular these days, is creating the outdoor kitchen lifestyle and taking barbecues and whatnot and fridges. We've done outside dishwashers and full-on bars. I mean, there's no end to them. Pizza ovens, this type of thing. And you can get very fancy with it. And you can just see a little bit of mist and fog on there. There are actually machines out there now that create that little mist and fog, so when it gets too hot, you know, you get a little bash of spray that comes down on you, or creates that feel that you're seeing there now.
Yeah, with the little misting effect as well, you can drop air temperature by about 4 to 5 degrees by putting a cool mist out there.
Very much so. You see them at things like Canada's Wonderland and large amusement parks where you've got the cooling stations where you go down. It works exceptionally well. You can get these on residential levels too.
We use them in the greenhouse industry as well. In the summertime, we have heat delay on the garden mums, which are the fall mums. If it's too hot at night, they won't set bud. So we throw on the misters, drop the temperature just to make them initiate their bud.
Great use for it.
Great use. We're going to turn to the phones right now and talk to Eileen. Eileen, your call today and your question.
Hi, thanks for taking my call, Frankie.
Thanks for calling.
Those pictures are beautiful.
Yes.
Anyway, I have a question about daffodils.
Yes.
I took the bulbs out last spring and didn't get them back in. And right now they're in a garden or in a basket in my laundry room. What do you think I should do with them now?
If you want, you can try what's called forcing. And forcing is where you're going to basically put them in pots, and then you're going to put them in a rest period where you almost make them feel like they're in winter. So you put them in nice pots, plant them to just below soil level, put in some good potting soil around them. You want to water them, allow them to dry out somewhat, then put them in the garage. You don't really want them to go to a deep freeze. If you have a cold cellar, it's fantastic. They go in an area where it's nice and dark, where it's nice and cool. That makes them think that they're in winter for about 4 weeks at least. You pull them back into the heat, you give them light, and all of a sudden they think it's spring and they bloom indoors. By trying to hold them and plant them in your garden, you're probably going to find that a lot of them rot out and just are not going to be any good for you.
Should I put some fertilizer or anything in?
Pardon me?
Should I put some fertilizer in or anything, or that bone meal?
You want to wait until it's starting to push out leaves. As soon as you start seeing leaves, and that is where you can start fertilizing. You were going to mention?
Yeah, perfect place to see what you just described, Frank, is Canada Blooms. In a couple of months, they do it exceptionally well. And not an easy thing to do either. Yeah,
forcing plants indoors is very hard. It's not for that scale as well. It's an exceptional show, March the 17th, I believe, this year,
goes on
to the 21st.
days.
This is the first year ever that you can go to the Canada Blooms website and buy tickets there. Great speakers. I know that you attend.
Absolutely, and yourself too.
And I attend as well. But just a great show to get you inspired about gardening. And now is really a good time to maybe book a landscape professional.
You really need to think good landscape designers, architects, contractors, these guys are usually booked 4 to 6 months in advance. I mean, even our office, if you were to call us now, you're going to take a number. You're going to have to wait. But by the same token, think about the date you want to start using your garden. and then go backwards 4 to 6 months. That's how much time it usually takes to plan these things, to organize materials, get them on order, and to get people in place to build it for you.
Let's take another call right now. Sue, you're waiting on the phone, and Sue, what's your question today?
Hi. My question is, we recently renovated our backyard, and my husband built these flower boxes along the side of the fences, so one on each side. They're about 30 feet long by 2 feet wide, and we have nothing planted in them right now, so there's a lot of area to cover. My question is, one side of the fence is totally sun, the other side is totally shade. What kind of things can I plant to kind of balance out the backyard? Because I know not everything does well in the sun or the shade.
Right, you have two different growing areas there. In terms of building boxes as well, I know you're insulating them all as well.
You have to.
Yeah, because that helps for them to last, but also for the plant material.
Well, because the soil's going to freeze in there otherwise, and the plants, the roots will dry out. So yeah, you have to insulate, and you have to create some drainage in the bottom of these things too, so water doesn't sit there and rot the roots of the plants.
The best thing to do is to send a picture of them in, and what I can do is give you a suggestion, because it all depends on, we can play with plant material, so we can use the plant material in the sun to shade the ones in the front, but also to really balance them out. And you can do really great things with perennials and also with some great annuals. Just before we say goodbye, I want to thank Haig for today. We had a great time. Once again, how do people get a hold of you?
SeferianDesign.com. We have 2 offices, one in Toronto and one in Burlington. Haig@SeferianDesign.com is my email address. Love to speak to anyone who has some questions.
And you're a Landscape Ontario professional?
Yes, I am, and I'm there to help out, a certified landscape designer.
There we go. We're almost out of time. Quickly, Garden Gab today. All gardening is landscape painting. That's by William Kent.